Coming live from Houston with Ernesto Verdugo and Dubai with Dave Crane, you're watching the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Ernesto. Hello, everybody out there. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I am fine, and I am very excited about today's episode. We are going to be covering a lot of stuff which is incredibly important for all of you. So make sure to watch the whole thing. And Dave, what I am just the most excited because, you're very finicky. I mean, I know that you really want, you know what you want. And we've been going back and forth with the designers on how it's going to be the design of the logo for Fast Forward. And we are almost there. So today, when you actually told me, okay, I like it, I was very happy because, of course, it is something that I really look forward for. So
it's almost exactly what I wanted. I love the Iron Man idea with the colors and the metallic. I love the fast forward buttons on it. I think the dynamic writing's about right. There's a few tweaks I think that we might need to make on it, but we're about 70-80% me being very happy for the rest of my born days.
So that's correct. So that's why we want to give you a glimpse of a little bit of what we're going to be doing as soon as we start moving into evolving the brand of the Toilet Paper Diaries into Fast Forward. As we said previously, Fast Forward is going to be first a part of the show. And today we're going to be showing you some of the stuff that we're going to be covering, because I think everything about Fast Forward, and I love the name, it is about bringing you forward towards where we want to be afterwards. Right now, I have the feeling that we have a lot of people which are completely confused, which is perfectly fine. I mean, it's being confused is just normal. We see a lot of people which are taking action, but taking action into a direction that we're not completely certain of where they're going, and this is what this show is going to be about. So I want to share with you a term which is a rhetoric term. A rhetoric term, that means that how you can communicate out something. So how can you get somebody to understand something? So you can say a dichotomy, and that is basically having two diametrically opposite thoughts in your mind. So, for example, you can think of love and you can think of hate. And we were saying, well, you cannot have them. And Dave gave the explanation that if you actually have been going out with a
psychopath.
Sorry?
No, it wasn't a psychopath. It wasn't love and hate. It was love and fear.
Love and fear. All right, fine.
Love and fear.
And then there's aporia. And this is why I want you to understand this term. Basically, what that means, it's understanding both sides of the story. So, for example, instead of saying, I am Republican, you could also say, I can understand Republicans and Democrats. And then you get yourself in the middle and you understand both sides of the coin. It's a lot easier to either not take one side or not take the other, but actually take a row in the middle by actually creating questions. Now, the reason why I want to tell you about this is because of the following. There's people which are actually saying, well, very soon we're going to be out of the lockdown. Very soon we're going to be out of this pandemic. And then there's the other side, which are saying, you know what, this is going to last for another 18 months or something like that. So taking into consideration that there's two sides of the story there, let me just show you this graph, which I think is very interesting. I mean, if we see from the moment that it starts to the moment that it basically ends, we're talking about 8 to 12 months before really we start shortening the curve. So I don't mind in which side you are. I mean, if you're saying, well, I am going to be in the positive, and then it's going to last only a couple of months, or it's going to last 8 to 8 months, I think we have to use a little bit of aporia to definitely understand what is going on. So let's say in the best case scenario, we're out of this by the 1st of May. Base case scenario. Do you actually think that we're going to go back to normal and everything is going to be reestablished, and suddenly in the television they're going to say, okay, fine, everything can go out and everything goes back to normal? I don't think so. So the truth is, we have to start preparing to these possible 12 to 16 months, even if there's an ease on the conditions that we're in the lockdown.
I also think it's not just two versions. I'll tell you why. I think you've got a very simplistic version. It's going to be like this, or it's going to be like that. But I think there's a third thing, which is people who are in sort of this kind of denial, don't want to move forward, don't want to move back connection area. And I think most people, probably 70% of the population, are in a position where they're not sure what's going to come next. But what they are going to do is going to see what cards are dealt to them afterwards. So here's one of those things. When it comes to the end of the virus and the lockdown, or at least the end of a lockdown, people are going to go back physically to their businesses and find what's left there. And sometimes they're going to face bills or closure notices, and they'll just have to go back home and set up a business from home. They won't be able to be back in there again. They may find that somebody's broken into their premises while they've been locked up. I hate to say that, and I hope it doesn't happen, but there could be a number of reasons why the world that you are waiting to go back into doesn't exist anymore. And so you're kind of in flux, not ready to make a commitment one way or the other. Now, I'm sure that what we're going to be talking about today with Fast Forward is the people who are on either side. You're either thinking it's going to stay the same, in which case I'm going to be fine, or the 20% who are going to turn around and say, right, we need to move on this, and we need to move really quickly. Those two groups are the ones that are going to be proactive, but only one of them is going to end up with something that's actually going to work. Because the other ones are going to sell off what they had to try and salvage, and then they'll ask the questions about where we go next.
That is right, and that's why it's very important. I mean, that either doesn't matter in which side of the in which side of the story you are right now. One of the things that we are already seeing happening is that this world is going virtual, absolutely everything. In fact, I have a really nice video that I want to show you on how the local news are actually covering this matter. So let's have a look.
Coronavirus is hurting businesses large and small. Some places decided to get creative with how they get their product out. Cultural reporter Brittany Flowers stopped by a place that's using technology to its advantage.
Thank you so much.
In its decade of selling cheese, Antonelli's shop has become more forward-thinking than ever before.
Our customers they're wanting more. They are asking good questions. They want to support us, but they also want to be safe. And so we're balancing that and creating new avenues for which they can order. So for the first time in 10 years, we're accepting phone call orders.
You can also place your order online for delivery or curbside pickup. And now they offer a virtual cheesemonger experience.
Are you looking for snacky cheeses? Do you want to have like a cheese plate tonight?
But before we get into that, what exactly is a cheesemonger?
Somebody that sells cheese. We are avid fanatics about the product.
A lot of our customers really appreciate that.
Schedule ahead of time an appointment with a cheesemonger and spend 15 minutes with them via video conference, looking at the cheeses, asking questions, and placing your order that way.
And if you feel like you don't know the first thing about cheese, don't worry.
I've been studying cheese for 12 years. I'm a certified cheese professional. I'm still just scratching the surface. So if I'm just scratching the surface, there's no reason to make it intimidating for anybody else.
They also offer classes for those wanting to learn more.
With social distancing becoming a part of the program, we are looking at launching Facebook Live events. Pick up your cheese plate, drive-through style, go home, sit in your pajamas, drink wine on the couch, and hang out with us for an hour.
So whether you quickly pick up your order curbside or spend some time learning about cheese, you're helping support this local business. Brittany Flowers, KVUE News.
I love it. That's everything we were talking about. Sorry, go on. I was going to say that's everything we talked about a couple of days ago when we looked at Airbnb and the experiences. And I went on quite a bit about the drones and pilots and so on. But this is effectively the same thing. You get your phone and you give people a physical experience of what you do for a living. And that is going to be key. That's going to be key. From tennis coaches to swimming to whatever, sandwich makers. What would you like to have? And that is the new way it's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting, though, because here's the thing. As speakers and speaker trainers, people are going to have to be very... Sorry?
Dave, I got you frozen. You're frozen. So what were you saying?
Am I back again?
Yes, you're back again.
Okay. I'll tell you what's going to be so interesting is as speaker and speaker trainers, which is what we do, we market, we train speakers, everybody's going to have to learn to be better at communication, even if they're just talking on their phone to a customer. They can't do it with mixed signals, because the wrong thing that you say, it means the customer's not happy. You're going to have to send it back to them again. So you're going to be better at just grabbing a phone, saying, hi, this is Dave from Ernesto's 10-minute monologue show, and then show them around everywhere, and then that's what you do. So it's going to be a very interesting development about the use of technology.
You're very bad. I was just trying to set the whole thing up.
And you did beautifully. I'm only pulling your leg because I love you. You know that.
I know that. So anyway, we're basically covering this because right now, for example, my daughter Nina, she was supposed to have today an online class, and she told me, well, I don't really like it because I also feel very uncomfortable being there on the Zoom call. And then I see the teacher, which also, for example, is struggling being there. So, of course, learning how to communicate right now online, it's like one of the chapters in the Jetsons. Remember that cartoon from the 1970s?
No,
everything was on like television because, of course, they had to travel the universe in order to see another person. So this is very similar to what is happening right now. So if we just start seeing some of the examples that what is happening virtual, these are some of the examples that I started finding online. So we have in a matter of events, for example, there's going to be a cannabis conference. There's virtual job fairs. For example, they have, if you go now to look for different meetings which are happening around, there's startup accelerators which are just also doing their virtual meetings. These ones are also really very interesting. Virtual shareholder meetings which are also happening all over the place. There's virtual restaurants which are also taking orders from here and there, and they're selling all the stuff from one place to the other. And look, this is what I think is incredibly interesting. We can see here 60% of US consumers order delivery or takeover once a week, and 34% are actually done online. And look at the numbers here. So we can see the restaurant industry, the food industry is already really very used to all this stuff. If we just go here to, there's masterminds which are also happening online. So no matter where we are and what we're doing, we're just seeing that absolutely every business is going virtual. Now, the question is, are you prepared to go virtual?
It's a great question. I mentioned it in hints earlier, and this is something I've been talking about for years when I train speakers. But every single element of what you've talked about there, and that cheese guy who clearly likes cheese more than any normal human being should like cheese, it doesn't matter. He can only make this work when he positions himself as an expert, and he can share for enthusiasts of cheese exactly why it's such an important product and commodity in food. So I think that this is really going to develop people into having to get their act together and their expertise. You can't just open a shop. You have to be an expert in why your shop is working and why people should do business with you.
Yeah, you're not anymore an order taker. I mean, you're not saying, well, give me, French fries and a large burger. I mean, and you take the order. I mean, you're going to have to sell the experience in many cases of the businesses. And this is something that definitely something that you need to take into consideration.
And imagine how that's going to work out. Let's take the cheese example. Right now, there's a bottleneck of when that guy becomes available to talk to people online. And because it's only just come out, it's just a very simple thing. Eventually, they'll start going down the route of maybe even Amazon, where you've got people who are shipping the cheeses and a number of order takers online. So maybe it's going to be 4 people trained by him who are all on constant phones going along the array of different cheeses, and then somebody else is taking the orders and chopping it up and sending it out as a conveyor belt. That's a very different business model from what would have happened before. You need to have a lot of customer-facing experts.
That is element number 1. We are going to, I mean, it is clear. We cannot deny the fact that everything is going virtual. So, I mean, we have been talking about virtual. And for example, for me, it's incredibly comfortable to be talking with Dave like this. And I feel like if I am there, I mean, every day that we are here together, I mean, I feel like if I actually was there with you. That's the incredible thing about the human mind, that we do not know the difference between something that actually happened and that we suddenly so vividly seen. And the only thing is we are not physically in the same place, but we are very used to it. But many other businesses are not used to it in the slightest. And that's why we're going to go from offline to online. And this is why it's so critical that you understand in which direction we're going to be going. So let me just share with you one extra thing that I think is just very important. Dave and I, as you possibly know, we take care of helping speakers. And of course, I mean, speakers need to become more proficient on how to present, not only live, but on camera.
I was working with a number of clients of which they're booking these kind of events where literally you have your team all around the world and wondering how can we keep them motivated. Now, there's a number of different challenges that go on for anybody who's running their own business and has got virtual teams, and that's how can you keep everybody on the same page. People can go online and look for new jobs. They're also very worried and scared about what's going to happen in their own company. The ones that seem pretty laid back and chilled out are people who have had a company where their staff have been all over the world anyway, and they're used to using this kind of technology because it's no different. They're not worried about getting paid. They're not worried about anything apart from the fact that when will the rest of the world come back into line and do what they've been doing for many, many years. So it's an interesting challenge that's going to face every business.
And I am sure that you have been to one of these meetings. And yes, indeed. I mean, right now, this is the norm. This is basically how people are doing events, and they're doing Zoom calls, and everything is into that. But right now, we're getting also a ton of Zoom bombing. And there's a lot of security breaches, which are also happening there. But regardless of that, most speakers think, and once again, we're talking about the speaker industry because this is where we are in. They're thinking that this is where everything is going to go. And because, of course, Dave has been in entertainment for a long time, and I have also been doing events for a number of years, we understand that there's a different way, and this is exactly where we are preparing. So I do not know for you, Dave, but I mean, we have been working really hard in coming up with a very innovative concept, and I have never been working as hard as I have during these days on my for many years. But we are understanding everything is going virtual. I'm not gonna follow the herd. I'm not going to go into trying to do all the Zoom things, or I'm going to go into the webinar or into the summit rule, because how many invitations have you gotten to the summit of this and it's free, and the summit of that and it's free, and you go over here and then they have the discount. And this is not the route that we're taking, because Dave and I have a different approach that we are basically rolling out carefully. Remember what we were saying yesterday? We are simply, first of all, adjusting, seeing what's going on, and then we are moving towards something that is going to help us virtually make the best out of us. And that, I think, is super powerful.
Absolutely. I think that technology is going to start filling gaps. I think that apps are going to start filling gaps. I think that the rubbishy little cameras that we have on our laptops will become much bigger 4G, 5G enabled ones, so you'll be able to see everything up close. But the experience of what you connect to your clients and create is going to be something that's going to evolve. And that's always what we're going to be interested in doing. But what we wanted to do with today's show is share with you a number of different areas that you could look at, and you should be asking questions about where you are, what you need to do, and how you need to fix that evolution. And the reason it's so important to ask those questions, because if you wait to see what's going to hit you, you might find that you had an opportunity to lead it in a certain direction and get a certain niche, and then when you get there, somebody else has taken it. And of course, when things start moving again, then those guys may well have more money, more experience, more connections, and just a bigger opportunity to own it. Anybody trying to go up against Amazon right now is, I don't know how they're going to even consider doing it. So it's about getting out there and getting into the market and sharing with people what you think is going to work. So here's the thing, with every single business that's out there, you're going to be asking yourself, right, Dave, Ernesto, thanks for sharing. Where do we go with this? Do we look at our own business? Do we look at inventing a new business? Do we look at hijacking somebody else's direction? Or do we just give up and wait to see what comes out the other end? I want to share with you 5 questions that I think are very important, because when you actually analyze and put them together, they should give you a framework. Now, I'm not going to give you any answers because everybody is different, but what we will be doing in the future with Fast Forward, once we stop doing the Toilet Paper Diaries, is sharing with you each of these segments and a number of different solutions that may work out best for you. So the first question, you might want to write this down, is where are you right now? Where is your business? Is it working? What kind of revenue do you make? Who do you target? What kind of infrastructure do you have? Is it virtual? Is it digital? Is it a combination? Is it basically out there and people have to physically come to see you? Do they travel for a distance? And what kind of market do you tap into? So that's the first question. Where are you right now? Because you can't move forward with your business until you've considered where you are at this moment in time. And I would suggest the way that you do this is you also consider that as soon as the lockdown came in, before you're able to recondition everything, choose it from that as a standpoint, because then you'll see a number of different clues as to maybe things you hadn't managed to find out while you're patching up and still trying to run your business. The second question is, where do you need to be? More, where do you think you need to be? Now, that means throwing in a conversation just like Ernesto was doing at the very beginning of the show, talking about the Jetsons. If you don't know the Jetsons, and I don't because I'm far too young to watch stuff like that, it was basically a space-age show where everything is just complete wow technology. Now, if you think about it, Star Trek is a classic example. I don't know if you remember the early shows in the 60s when they would walk towards a door and they go shh, shh, and it open and close and people went, wow, technology. Can you imagine not having a door like that today? Didn't have to wait till Star Trek. It was actually there. So you need to ask, where would my business be if we were to go digital? If we were to go to the really nth degree and we used apps and we created a version of it, in many cases about logistics, about shipping real products or services, or being able to make it so it's cost effective and reproducing and scaling it, where do you need to be? Ask yourself those questions and go crazy. Write out a lot of different options, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your clients, and see what they think. So the next question then is your new market. Who is your new market? Are you sitting with a product that no longer is going to have a market or a crowded market? Can you take the shape of the wheel and put it into something that didn't have a wheel before? You might find that you can't do it in what you're doing right now, but what you can do is find somebody else who wants it, who's never had that kind of thing before. So let's take, for instance, that classic example, Airbnb. Yeah, it's all about staying in a bed sit rather than staying in a hotel. But what they've got is a switchboard model of loads of properties and loads of people wanting to use it. Why didn't they create a lot of experiences, which is what we've done, that you can go to Chernobyl and somebody will visit it for you with their camera and show you what it's like. They'll show you around the zoo. We'll do a number of different things. What can you do with that? Who's your new market you could tap into? And if there's a number of them, which is the lowest hanging fruit in the garden that you could dominate and certainly scale faster? You might want to walk into a garden and see, wow, at the top of that tree there's bananas. I know bananas grow on the ground, but there's coconuts. I want coconuts for my business. But at the bottom there's potatoes or there's bananas. I can reach them. How can I scale that to dominate the market? Fourth question is, what are they going to buy? Your clients, what are they going to buy from you? What is the experience? What is a product? What is a service? As it's changed, what is the actual delivery? is you've got to think about that, and you've got to think about what it is that you've got to get to market. Are they going to have you like that guy in a cheese shop, walking around and selecting cheeses and telling stories about why the cheese is so important? Yeah, I know cheese is just cheese, but not when it was a princess's special cheese that she ordered from the dragons or some story like that. So you have to think about, what are they going to actually buy from you? And what is that experience? And then the fifth question, as Ernesto is just about to pop back in, is how do we get there? Drawing a roadmap from one side to the other is going to be relatively difficult until you start off at the other end. Imagine in 12 months' time, you're the king or the queen of a certain industry. What do you have to do to draw a roadmap from where you are right now to get there? And this is digitization and virtual. So remember, you've got to include tech. And it's worth talking to tech people, it's worth Googling, and it's worth having a pie in the sky idea about the technology you need, because someone somewhere is probably building it. And if they're not, but they could do, then you may be onto a wonderful franchise at the same time. Those are the 5 questions I would say you need to have in order to get your business to go from where it is right now to where it needs to be.
Thank you very much. I love those 5 questions, and I think they will frame perfectly what we are going to be seeing on this video, because of course one thing is to go virtual and the other one is to understand digitization. So let's have a look.
Digitalization. What is it? 5G, artificial intelligence and robotics? No. Digitalization is Alfred Shanwall, who says Finland must invest in high-speed connections. He's talking about a new innovation called the railway. The track is built. Soon the train brings Lucina Hagman to Helsinki. And along with her radical idea, girls must be offered the same education as boys. Lucina sets up the first mixed-gender school in Finland. A new generation of educated women is born. And Agnes Sinervo is one of them. Sinervo is angry. 1 in 5 children dies of common diseases before the school age. Reforming children's healthcare becomes her mission in life. Did Sinervo know that she would make our children the healthiest in the world? Or Hagman, that our women would be the best educated? Probably not. But today, they would say that it's our turn now. Once again, tremendous progress can be achieved through technology. And once again, it's our duty to give a direction to the progress. Now you are digitalization.
Really cool. Absolutely. Beautiful. Really cool.
Beautiful. And it just shows
something which we are getting into, and somehow not everybody's really understanding how this is going to be playing. And this is one of the things that we're going to be covering in Fast Forward. Now, Dave, let's just take this a little bit into the news. Right now in the UK, we saw a 99-year-old captain of the British Army that has done something spectacular, and we will link it towards what we were talking about, because you can see that it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter where you are. The fact that we're all connected and that we're using the exact same tools can actually create incredible results. Dave, can you just share?
Yeah, I will do. I mean, number 5 that I mentioned before was how do you get them? A large part of that is branding, and also creating that relationship with people. Now, Captain Tom Moore is 99 years old. You can see him there. If you just go full screen, Ernesto, to show everybody who it is we're talking about, so I'll just describe. You can see that little picture where he's fighting the Second World War, and he was a hero, and he's a captain. He got all his medals, which you can see. And then you can see him, he's 99 years, and he's got that walker. And he goes all the way around the garden, doing laps in the garden. And what he decided to do was to raise money for the National Health Service in the UK by doing laps for charity. So, I mean, I'm tearing up even thinking about this. The guy goes round, and because right now the battle across the world is not about guns, it's not about technology, it's not about money, it's about people putting themselves on the line to just say, I will heal you and I will get you better. So it's become a huge campaign in the UK for Captain Tom. He's managed to raise, as of today, £6.5 million for the National Health Service just by going round his garden. Now, at the end of the month, he's going to be 100 years old. He wanted to do 100 laps to raise money, and he raised 3 million. Then it became 5 million. Now it's 6.5 million. Now, here's the thing that makes it so effective. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, there's a lot of different doubts, and we don't go near politics, but there were a lot of people saying that the close relationship with UK and America meant a privatization of the National Health Service, which at the moment in the UK is free to anybody who's a citizen. If it's privatized, it changes the game because you won't get access to stuff unless you're willing to pay for it, which is not the case at the moment. Everyone's tax goes into the National Health Service. Well, Boris Johnson, who is at the head of the government, was somebody who people were saying, what is he going to do? Is he going to privatize it? Is he going to keep it? He came on today and admitted to the entire world that if not for the NHS, he wouldn't be here. Now think about that. He named all the nurses, and he was probably pushing the brand more than it's ever been pushed in the last 40 years because it's a huge expense. Now, this expense is an army of people going into battle every day. So what Tom's doing and Boris Johnson's doing is a huge change for what's going to happen. There's volunteers everywhere. People are praising the NHS as the most important service. And they're saying even programs like Strictly Ballroom or Strictly Come Dancing, where people go up and dance and so on, we should make one only for medical services, because they should be seen as real heroes and they should be paid a lot more. So it's incredible the amount of work that's going to come in the medical sphere that maybe had been ignored just as a direct result of people like Captain Tom highlighting it, the Prime Minister now as well, and also the focus of a lot of technical and app creators who are now going to say, look, there's a market there. People are more interested in it. How can we help? That is correct. And I think that's incredibly touching because, of course, I mean, once again, trying to stay out of politics, but you can have likings and dislikings of people. And then whenever I saw Boris Johnson, I didn't really get to know him that well because I'm not living in the UK and I don't see him as often in the television, but I didn't really have a very nice feeling of him. I didn't really like the way that he was there on television. And now what happened is I saw him actually delivering that speech that you were saying. And for me, I mean, that was a huge transformation, which I think takes us to the next point, which is the new branding. I believe that it's not only the virtual, it's not only that we're going to be virtual, it's not only that we're going to be digital, but the fact is we have to be rebranded completely right now after the coronavirus. So I believe this after the coronavirus, we're going to have to rebrand ourselves. But I think we have to start already working on that branding already. And Dave, let me just ask you, and because I think it will be perfect to actually show how being out of message can definitely hurt your business. In Wisconsin, actually yesterday, something happened in the state of Wisconsin. And I think it's just perfect if you can actually frame it correctly so that people will get the context of what we're actually talking about having the wrong message at these times. I'd love to do that, and I can do it as a non-American, so I can do it with a relatively neutral view of the politics in the US. So to put it into a very simple term, you've got President Trump who's pushing about power, about money, about need to get back into business, and about needing to get things moving. You've also got the pressures which he's under, which is to keep the country afloat, but you have a pandemic that's pushing across the country. Now, what happened in Wisconsin was the Democratic the governor said, in order to have these new elections, what we should do is hold on to it for a while, postpone it a month, or put it online so people don't have to risk going out into danger and queuing up for hours or maybe even a day or so to be able to cast their vote. It went to a vote. It went all the way up to the Senate in the US, and it was overcast by 5 votes to 4, saying we will still take this vote. We're going to do it regardless, and we're not going to go digital. We're going to have it physical. Now remember what that says. It says a message that people are going to be stuck in queues like that, and many didn't have masks. Many were closer than that, and many were walking around. And I mean, that's waiting for a long, long time. So these people are going out and voting, and the drive was very much, let's get it done now because we can really get the best out of the voters if we do it. Now, what the end result was, that the guys who pushed for the vote to come right now and saying you couldn't do it from home and you couldn't vote by proxy or anything, ended up losing. The Democrats ended up winning this. Now, I'm not going to choose between Democrats and Republicans. It's not my interest. I mean, I'm British and I'm pretty neutral. But the point is that if your brand is not one that catches the Wi-Fi code of the feelings of the people who are voting, you'll end up distancing yourself from them because it's too soon. And this is why it's so relevant. Not about the voting, not about Wisconsin. It's just another example. If you are out there with your brand and you're saying, right, guys, come and buy my stuff, I will save you now. Or you're turning around and saying, right, I've got a special sale, you have to get it. If your message does not have sympathy, if you do not connect with the Wi-Fi code of the audience you're wanting to connect to, who is in lockdown, they're feeling lonely, they're feeling that they're scared, they're not sure where their money is going to come from in the future, and you don't reach them in the way that they want to, they will not only not forgive you now and not connect with you, they'll remember how you tried to stitch them up, steal their money, con them, or whatever the phrase might be when they come out of it. So you have to exactly get it right. That's one of the reasons when we did this show, we didn't think about fast forward, we didn't think about anything. We just said at the very beginning, how can we help people? People are scared. Let's call it the Toilet Paper Diaries. And I think it's a really strange thing that 4 weeks in, people know the Toilet Paper Diaries, but it's not so relevant to have a name like this because we haven't talked about fighting for toilet paper in a very long time. But it just talks about the brand and the empathy about how we need to connect to people. And being there every day was very important to us because we wanted to be there for everybody every day. And show with consistency that whether you have a good day or a bad day, you don't have to tune into us if you don't want to, but if you do, we're here for you. And that's a message that everybody needs to think about.
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of branding that you have to come up with. Now, let me share with you another quick example. There's been several billionaires here in the United States that are in hiding. That you cannot really hear too much about them, but there's three that constantly come into mind, and one of them is Jeff Bezos from Amazon. The other one is Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, and then we have also Jack Dempsey from Twitter. The one out of those three that has the least amount of money is Jack Dempsey, and he's the only one that has done the following. Have a look.
Okay.
Hey, Will. Hey, Sarah. So Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and Twitter, just tweeting that he will be donating $1 billion, that's a third of his wealth, to COVID-19 relief. So to fight the virus here, he just announced that on Twitter. Dorsey tweeting, he's moving $1 billion of his Square equity, roughly 28% of wealth, to hashtag Start Small LLC to fund global COVID-19 relief. After that, after he says we disarm the virus, he's dedicating that money to universal basic income and girls' health and education. Just tweeting that now. There's also a link to track that and how he's actually doing that. Square has been lobbying to be a part of this relief package. They haven't gotten access to those SBA loans, but obviously Dorsey paying attention here. So we'll be watching that.
So he is the least billionaire, if you want to put it that way, from the three of them. He's the one that is doing the biggest donations.
I was going to say, I feel sorry for him losing. He's only got $2 billion left. He must be counting his pennies when he goes shopping at the local Amazon store or whatever. So yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that's really very interesting about it. And again, I don't like to get into the politics because I watch the world politics. But at the same time, that the message that was sent by the US government is we're going to remove all funding of $400 to $500 million from the World Health Organization, because as far as we're concerned, they've botched up their job. You've got, on the other side, a billionaire who doubles that, throws it at the world to say, let's make this work. So there's two different messages you're sending out there from two different sources. And without going down the politics, but just going into common sense and everything we shared today, who will come out of it being more relatable with people remembering the gesture that was made to make the world a better place at the end of it. And that's so key. It's so key. Without the politics, think about your own brand. Think about what message you're sharing. Think about what you're saying to people who are following you and have a real interest in seeing whether you're a good person or not. And they will check before they buy from you, before this is over.
So here's exactly what you need to do. I mean, now you know why. Yeah, now you know how it's all happening, but now I think you need to know what is exactly what you need to do. So first of all, you need to make sure that kindness is the norm. You should be kind in every customer call, in every time that you interact with any customers. You need to keep in touch with them. You need to make sure that you connect absolutely 100% with them. And on the branding aspect of what we are talking about, you have to stop talking about how amazing you are. I mean, sadly, we have seen, even with some of our close friends and collaborators, they are showing, oh, you know, I am so incredible, and I am so incredible, and I am so incredible. It is just absolutely the thing which is going to sell the least. So if you need to rebrand yourself, you need to understand that kindness is the absolute best thing that you can start doing. I mean, you have to rebrand yourself. Everything needs to be about how you connect with people. You have to bring certain value to the organization so that people see that you're helping, because if not, you are going to be dramatically affected. And once again, as we have been mentioning in several of the shows, it's also very important that we understand that it's not about confidence or arrogance. It's about showing humility. I strongly believe that what is happening here is going to be a lesson in humility for many brands, for many experts, for many speakers, for many authors, for many people. Is going to be a lesson in humility. And to a certain extent, that makes me happy, because I think that this is something that the world absolutely needs.
And the template for people to wonder how they fit in with this is, think about the soldiers fighting this global war. Who are the soldiers? They're the care workers. They're the doctors, the nurses, the people cleaning the streets, picking up the garbage. They're the policemen, the fire guys. All the people who are out there who maybe weren't given much apart from it's their duty, they got a job, fine, whatever. It's not guys going around with guns. It's not guys strategically fighting a drone war. It's the people who are taking a hit. And there's one thing that comes through, and it sounds cheesy, and we have talked about it many times, but it's your love of people. It's the love, it's the empathy, it's the way that you relate to people as a human being that will be the currency that you will have as a reward that will carry more weight than the financial rewards. People are going to buy brands, and we're already starting to do it before the virus. People are going to buy brands that makes them feel aligned with the ethical stance that the brands have. They buy them from taking over the company, and they buy them because people love the brand, and they never buy it based on how expensive it is. If you know it's helping a rainforest, or it's helping children, or it's helping kittens, you'll pay extra because it's not about your pocket, it's about what happens next. And that's why you need to ally yourself with that mindset and that branding. And that's your homework.
Absolutely. And just before we close, I would like to once again ask you to help us share this message. I mean, we are doing it on a daily basis. We invest a lot of time, Dave and myself, creating all these contents, because we know that it's actually helping people, but we know that also there's people that are consuming all this information in our podcast. So you can share the podcast with all the people that you think that could be benefited from this.
Just quickly before you go there, a very good point made by Pete Garcia, one of our best friends, and also he's on there sending messages into the public area. He's saying that Bill Gates Foundation has spent billions on COVID-19 vaccine and testing kits. Not sure how many, thanks Pete, but that's true. If we're going to be talking about the tech giants, you can't talk about them without saying Bill Gates, who predicted this 5 years ago and has never stopped working. His entire money is based on, obviously Microsoft makes its cash, it's about giving it back to the planet. And so, Pete, you're absolutely right. We should talk about Bill with the same breath of benevolence and caring about what happens with COVID-19 and the planet afterwards. So thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah, thank you, Pete, for sharing that with us. It's true.
Gratitude and giving thanks is really one of the most powerful things you can practice every day if you are committed to achieving anything in life. It's no secret almost all truly successful people talk about the power of gratitude. It's that feeling of being blessed. It's getting grateful with those things you do already have that attract more great things into your life and really just give you the drive to get more, to go out and work for more. When I write down what I'm grateful for, it's always for the things money can't buy. You know, thank you for my drive. Thank you for my mental strength. Thank you for giving me the courage not to give up all those times when it seemed impossible, when I know 99% of the people would have given up. Thank you for giving me that strength. Thank you for the character to keep going for months, for years and years without any progress until I turned it around. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my family. You see, these are my real blessings. Money is easy. It's easy to make. It's easy to spend. And when it comes to the end, we can't take any of it with us. Let's make truckloads of it, but let's not stress over it. Thanks for giving me that fire, that mentality to go out and get my dreams. I conquer my goals. I see so many people void of life, void of spirit. So many people that give up and live lives that they don't want to be in just because it's easy. And I'm so grateful that will never be me. I'm convinced one of my greatest secrets to success is that I am always insanely grateful for what I do have. Be grateful for what you have now, and you will soon have more to be grateful for. When I start my day off writing all those things I am grateful for every day, my day starts with power, with pure positive power. Then I'm ready to smash the day, to seize opportunities. My mind is clear and positive, and that energy is so valuable to my creativity and my future success. If there is one thing that I could recommend to all those seeking success, get grateful.
Beautiful. And as we're talking, I just want to talk about family. If I just move to this side, you can see my gorgeous daughter Maya, who's the light of my life, with my beautiful wife Aziza, my 2 dogs, and my very dear friends. And it just makes it work for me. Watching that video really mattered. Maya came in to say goodnight. I just thought it'd be an opportunity to say hi to everybody at the same time. So there you go.
That's very cool. I'm very grateful to all my family. I'm very grateful to you, Dave, that you're doing this with me. I mean, this is something that is really touching, and I know that we will remember it for forever. And this is the reason why we're investing so much time in actually doing this. And more than anything, I am incredibly grateful for all of you guys which are watching us every day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.